Hey guys, my name is Kevin. Some of you might know me online as That Movie Nerd, but this isn't a movie review. This actually isn't going to be a movie review channel. This is a channel that's going to be about something a little more important, I think. For those of you who don't know, and I would actually assume that almost all my viewers don't know, or anyone coming across this video unless you're a friend of mine, I suffer from depression and anxiety. These are two mental illnesses that are very difficult for a lot of people to understand. And in truth, that is, it is a very difficult subject for people to understand. Because depression does not mean extreme sadness. Depression doesn't even really mean sadness. Depression means it's sort of like this whole different bad feeling. I think that's the best way I can describe it. It's when you're in this place and you feel so low, not sad, but you feel so low and so dark that you can't really get back up to a happy feeling again. You can't really move up to smiling and being happy and all that stuff. It takes a long time for that to do that. And some of that could be chemical reactions in someone's brain. It could be what's happening in the environment around them. It could be a bunch of things. But it's not exactly extreme sadness. And what I wanted to do with this channel, what I wanted to do with the videos I'm going to make on this channel, is sort of tackle the different areas and the different subjects about depression and about anxiety, because I also suffer from anxiety as well. But I thought that the best way to do that would be to just tackle my story and my experience in the first video as well as the following videos to come, so you have a good understanding of where I'm coming from when I'm talking about my experience with depression, my experience with friends who have depression, and friends that have anxiety. So my story actually starts less than a year ago, in October. Throughout my life, I had been feeling nervous, and I had been feeling extreme anxiety during areas, whether it be going to a band competition or performing or even seeing a movie, which I actually have been having trouble with to this day, but I didn't really know what I was feeling. The World Health Organization states that 350 million people in this world suffer from depression, but unfortunately that does not count the people that don't know what they're suffering from, if they're suffering from depression. And that's where I started, and that's where I think a lot of people start, is that you get this new feeling and you don't really know what to do with it. You don't really know what to deal with that. So I had been feeling that a long time until my mom suggested that I go see someone at my my school's health organization, my school's health center. And I decided to do that. And after describing everything I had been feeling, they had told me that I suffered from depression. And to be perfectly honest, that has been the single worst day of my life to this point, is just having someone look at you and say, you suffer from depression, there is no easy fix to this. And not only that, I was given sort of a double punch to the face, because that very same day I told my parents, you know, that I suffer from depression, and my mom said, "Oh, I've been suffering from depression for years, like decades." And I didn't know that. I did not know that at all. She was not very vocal about it to me. So from that point on, it was sort of a game of how do I deal with that, and of course they throw medication at you. Well, the first medication didn't take. I actually had to go home early that semester, and I decided to take this spring semester off to sort of figure out, okay, how exactly do I live with depression? It's a big thing. And anxiety as well helps. The anxiety portion of it is that sometimes I'm afraid to leave my own house. I'm afraid that I'm going to embarrass myself in front of people. I'm afraid that people aren't going to want to put up with me outside the house. And that was a big decision as to me taking this previous semester off. As of this point, I don't know when I'm going back to school, but I am figuring everything out right now. And in fact, this video series that I'm doing, I hope helps me with that. And so, essentially, the anxiety I feel is that sometimes I just am afraid of closed spaces, like even a movie theater. You know, a dark place where I'm with a bunch of people I don't know. That kind of scares me a little bit. I actually think that sort of started after the Dark Knight Rises midnight incident, where, for those of you who don't know, there was... I saw the Dark Knight Rises at midnight, but in Colorado, I think it was, there was a man that killed a lot of people and injured a lot of people at a midnight screening in a shootout. And that's when it sort of started for me. Like, whenever I go to a movie theater, I always sort of sit down and I look around and I go, okay, who's here? And during the movie, whenever someone gets up, I have to stare at that person. Like, I go away from the movie and I stare at that person until they leave the room. Because I'm like, okay, what is this person doing? Why is he up? And of course, it's always someone going to the bathroom or something like that. But it does sort of get to you. And that's sort of where depression, anxiety differs from sadness and nervousness. You can't shut it off easily. In fact, there's a lot of times where you just can't shut it off, period. You sort of have to wait for it to take its course. And with the way I deal with depression for me is I sort of just sit by myself and look at look at things that make me laugh. I watch The Simpsons a lot, so I will watch The Simpsons, and that'll make me laugh. And I sort of have to sit there and wait until I become happy again, or I work on something, or I do things that'll make me feel better. And it works a little bit for the most part, but it's never like 100% until I want to say like the day or two after. And even then, it can take a while. Like, there's been days like last October, I would go a whole week without feeling any better. I would sort of trudge through and do what I want to do, but I wouldn't be smiling. You know, depression is not... you're feeling sad when things aren't going right. Depression is when you are feeling so low when everything's going fine. And that's where I think some people just don't understand. You're like, everything's going fine. You're laughing, you're smiling, and why is it? How is it that you suffer from depression? And that's where I think the confusion gets to. This past year, we lost a phenomenal, great actor, Robin Williams, who's also a great stand-up comedian. And another person I want to bring up is Bruce Springsteen. He suffers from depression as well. These are people that will went on stage for phenomenally long time. I mean, Bruce Springsteen goes on stage for 3+ hours. And that's a sign. That's a sign of depression, when you're doing something for a long time, because that's where you are, that you know you're going to feel great. And for a lot of times, I would actually imagine for Robin Williams, when he's done with his stand-up routine, he stops feeling good. You know, Bruce too. When he's done with his concert, I think he stops feeling good. And that's a sign. When someone's doing things for a long time, or someone asks, can we continue? That's because they know, and they have this fear, that once they stop doing what they like doing, either hanging with your friends, or talking, or making a video, that good feeling is going to go away. And that's sort of been my experience, is that I've been trying to do things that have been make me smile, make me laugh, make me feel better. Outlet my creativity, write screenplays, and I just do that for the longest time. Because I know once I stop doing that, I'm probably not going to feel any better. I'm probably just going to go back to me not feeling well anymore. And that's been my story so far, is that it's just been tough for me to sort of explain, and for people to understand, and for me to understand, actually. That's step one. That step one is for someone to understand. Like, it took me a really long time to understand what depression was, what I'm feeling. And it's such a different feeling from anything you've ever felt before. Any other bad feeling that you've felt before, that a lot of people don't don't get it at first. If you've been feeling low, like not sad, but like if you've been feeling low and you've been having trouble getting happy, go to a psychiatrist, go to your college health center. Because either one of two things is going to happen. One, they're going to tell you you're perfectly fine. Or two, they're going to say you do suffer from depression, so we're going to help you get through it. And you can't go through depression or anxiety alone. You do need help. If anyone out there who knows that they have depression, you need help. Confide in a friend, confide in a teacher, confide in a psychiatrist, preferably a psychiatrist because they've gone to school and they know what they're doing. But you do need help. Don't let this be on your own. And it's still a journey for me. I've been taking new medication. Prozac did not work for me. For anyone that takes Prozac, I envy anyone that took Prozac and that worked for them. I've been taking Zoloft now, and I've been slowly but surely increasing the dosage. And honestly, the last week or two have been the first that I felt like really good, like 95 to 100% good. Up until that point, it's just been a struggle. There's some days I just didn't feel like getting out of bed, you know? And for those of you who are dealing with people that have depression, the one thing you need to understand is stick with them. It's gonna take a while. It's not a day fix. But if you stick with them and you love them, 5-6 months from now, maybe 5-6 years from now, it's gonna pay off. Trust me, it's gonna pay off. And it's really just a game of listening. If you listen to how they feel and what they explain to you, try your best to sort of understand. Don't brush it off or be like, oh, this is weird, or he's just being weird, whatever. That's the number one worst thing you can do. With someone that suffers from depression or anxiety. If that is that the feeling is so different than what you feel that you don't understand it. And that's where a lot of the problems kind of come through with depression and anxiety. I've met a lot of people where I've had to sort of explain how I've been feeling. You know, close people within my family, I've sort of had to try and understand how I've been feeling. And it was hard for me because I didn't know how I was feeling at first. But now I feel like I have a center and an idea of what I've been going through and how I can fix it, how I can help myself. And that, I believe, is the first big step to recovery. And throughout the series of videos, that's what I'm going to do. My next video, I believe I'm going to make a video of the worst things you can say to someone who's in depression, or worst things to say to someone who's depressed. That's going to be my next video, but for now, I just wanted to explain my position with depression and my experiences. Like, this video is called My Life with Depression. That's actually my channel's name, My Life with Depression and Anxiety. And this video is called My Depression Story, and that's my depression story. Please comment below. This is actually going to be a little different from my movie nerd videos. I'm going to monitor the comments, because I want this to be a free area for anyone that suffers from depression or anyone that suffers from anxiety to talk about their experiences if they want, and without fear of being ridiculed, being made fun of, or people just not downright understanding or saying you're weird or whatever. You know, I will monitor the comments to make sure that doesn't happen. So if anyone feels comfortable talking about their experiences, please do, because it's the worst thing you can do is be silent. You do need someone to talk with. And the more open you are about your depression, your anxiety, the better it gets. Trust me, the better it gets. And that's all I have to say for now until my next video about depression and anxiety. And yeah, with that, this is Kevin Morrison signing off.